You're listening to the FLASCO OncoPod, brought to you by the Florida Society of Clinical Oncology, the voice of oncology in Florida.
Well, thank you. Welcome to the OncoPod. I'm Jorge Garcia, Vice President of FLASCO. And today I have a very, very special guest with us, Dr. Robin Son, who is a previous President of ASCO as well. Dr. Son, welcome, and it's such a privilege to have you with us today.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. It's an honor for me to be here with you today. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you. You may recall that we met here at Flasco for the first time. And I remember you did a presentation. At the tail end of that, there was a slide on ASCO policy priorities. And I would never forget going down that slide, and every priority seemed to align so nicely with what we were doing here at Flasco, what we were doing at ACCC and others. And I felt I have to go up to her and let her know this is also what we are working on. And so I found the courage. I came up to you and we spoke, and you were so kind and so welcoming. I will never forget that day. It was a Saturday. You reached out to your team. And on that weekend, your team reached out to me, and I really understood your commitment in that year of presidency that you had on everything that you were set to accomplish. And I so much appreciate you being so open to others and for you to spend time here in the state societies as well.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, it's important, as president and leader of ASCO for our members to know that, you all matter. When you have this wealth of experience and knowledge, and best way that we can grow, the best way we can give high quality care to patients to learn from each other. So thank you for having the courage. You're an incredible person. And, certainly ASCO is very lucky to have you on our team.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So today we're here to speak about a very important tool, the ASCO Edge. And before we jump into it, for those of you who have not had the opportunity to meet Dr. Sun before, can you help us understand your professional journey leading up to your presidency at ASCO?
Sure. After college, I actually was in pharma for a while and diagnostic company. And it was when I was working for Dow Chemical that a very smart man, this was dating myself now in the 1980s, had mentioned, you really need to understand the business side because one day business decisions will drive healthcare. Science and research are important for discovery, and the passion and dedication we have as doctors certainly is incredibly important, but we need to understand the business side. And I never forgot that. And he gave me a valuable lesson. So I went on to medical school in IU. Yay, we won the college football championship. And then I did my fellowship under Dr. Larry Einhorn, and then went on to a community site. Now, it was interesting when I picked where I wanted to go. I intentionally went to medical school wanting to practice community oncology and setting up a research program. And so that's exactly what I did. I was able to make some connections through IU and through something called the Hoosier Oncology Group at that time with Pat Lear and go and help my colleagues set up a research program. During my fellowship, 1997 is when ASCO first allowed fellows to join. And I was in that initial class in 1997. And from there, it was just a ride of a lifetime. It was my professional home, still is my professional home. And I was able to serve on another number of committees, the board of directors, of course, GRC, the Clinical Practice Committee, now called the Clinical Practice Innovation Committee, and other task forces, and then was honored to be president. And so it's a real joy for me to represent the community. I represent all members across the world because we share so many of the same challenges and we learn from each other. It's been an honor, but bringing my perspective as community medical oncologist, I think, has been very helpful. And the insights I've gained from all the people I've met along the way has been invaluable.
That makes sense, and so much relate with that early career, picture that you saw of the importance of bringing the clinical and the business aspect of the community that we form as an oncology team. I think it's very important having that vision so many years ago. It's really great. So here you are the president at ASCO, and you could have focused your attention on so many different things. How did you develop a vision for ASCO Edge, and how did it really come to fruition?
Well, thank you for that question. So, this has been a passion of mine even before I became president. When I joined my practice, we were independent contractors, which meant that we were responsible for paying for our own drugs and buying our own drugs and sharing expenses. And with background that I had, I realized, that this is not an easy task. And many of us don't ever get any training in business. I happen to get some because of the experiences I had along the way. But it occurred to me that as science was progressing and as we're getting these new treatments and new diagnostics, complexities of cancer care started entering from all different directions, whether it was related to policy or regulation or pharmaceutical sales and drug prices and so on, that we really weren't prepared to be able to deal with some of the decisions that we had to make with regards to how do we run our practice, how do we run our clinic, and at the same time deliver high quality care, advocate for our patients when it comes to payers and getting the treatments they need, advocate for ourselves so we can be able to keep our clinic doors open and be able to go outside of our community and deliver the care that we are meant to deliver. And I realized we don't have time to learn this during medical school and our fellowship. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was studying all the time, and it always was learning, how am I going to treat the patient and so on. And I realized that we don't have time to get business degrees. And so I thought to myself, this is a real passion. And we have really smart people out there. I met them along the way in ASCO that have so much to share that it was easy to put together this panel of individuals to say, listen, let's generate something, a module or an educational resource that folks can use to try to understand better business decision making and have some more control over what's happening in their lives when it comes to the operations and management.
Absolutely. I always think of ASCO as the gold standard you go to for emerging clinical evidence in cancer care. But I think how much more powerful now with ASCO Edge that you also understand how to run the practice better, how to do the business part better. I call it the true edge, right? And so it makes a lot of sense to me. So tell us a little bit more about the tool. I understand it is live and available now, so our members would love to learn more.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. Well, first, I just have to mention that you said something that really made me think about the way I envision ASCO Edge. You're right. We go to ASCO because we want to learn about the science. We want to learn how can we treat our patients on Monday and make their lives better. But ASCO Edge is, I consider, a professional cornerstone. Okay, not only do we need to be able to take the knowledge, but we need to be able to apply it and implement it. So I think about ASCO Edge as having the edge to be able to deliver the care in the way we want to deliver it. But that being said, the ASCO Edge is based on sessions, and there's 12 of them. And they're basically based on case scenarios that also has written content and questions that are answered on a glossary of terms. And we hope to have soon other sessions, which would include succession planning, for example, advocacy, pharmacy operations, right down your alley. I'm sure Dr. Garcia, as well as other sessions, will be very helpful.
These are exceptional. Even with my professional interest in revenue cycle, I'm still learning so much in that space. There's so much to learn. So these are going to be great. Now, for the listeners that may be trying to understand if this is something that can bring value to them, this tool, I have heard you say before, have been developed by oncology professionals for oncology professionals. So who can really drive benefit from the sessions?
That's an excellent point because purposely, when we put together both the editorial board as well as selected our contributors, we took folks from various stages of their career, and many of these are lessons learned. Okay, so that being said, this tool is available for anybody across the continuum of their career stage. Certainly, fellows will be very probably excited to learn about the Navigating Employment Agreement, but for anybody that's transitioning, I found that very valuable to review. I personally am looking at each one of these sessions. I learn something every time. I was just mentioning to you earlier that a session that's coming up in the next 2 or 3 months, pharmacy operations, was extremely revealing. I thought I knew everything. Well, I didn't. I reviewed it and realized, I can learn something from this. So it's meant for anybody along their entire career continuum to be able to learn from attending these sessions. What's nice about these sessions is it's at will. So you can go in and watch a session and come out. You can go back or you could switch. So there's no time cap. It is a member only benefit, however. So you can get into the platform, see what's available, click on the session, and then log in. And then you can get access to that particular session.
That's perfect for a busy professional, sort of like on demand. You
Correct.
go at it. This reminds me about a decade and a half when I began to practice in cancer care. As a PharmD, the training is clinical.
Hmm.
And so I found myself very early on in my career with budget responsibilities and a number of other things that I did not have formal training for. A tool like this would have been monumental at that stage in my career. So it's great. So I want to hone in. You mentioned that, and I want to make sure we're clear on this. If you are an ASCO member, you can already access the tool at no additional cost being a member of ASCO.
Absolutely right. It's member only benefits. So once you're a member, whatever level you're at a member with, whether you're international or whether you're advanced practice practitioner or you're a PharmD or a pharmacist, you have access to that.
That's exceptional because sometimes this self-development or certificate programs, there may be a cost associated with it, but to have all of these tools available, and I know a lot of our FLASCO members are also ASCO members, so this is really exceptional. What else would you like to highlight about the tool?
So the tool is ongoing in the sense that we need your feedback. In order for it to grow and to become better, we need to know from you, what did you like about it? What do you think we were missing? Because we want this to be the best tool and resource available. At this point in time, again, I want to stress that it's not meant to be an MBA or a degree, but it is something that can enhance, potentially your ability to manage your practice. And so I would really encourage people to take advantage of it. I think it's a way to empower you, the person that's learning from it, to empower yourself to be able to help deliver the best high quality care for your patient, to be able to advocate for them, to be able to speak to the payers, be able to speak to your administrators, to our PharmDs and our other allied professional members. They too can learn from this. So I think it's not only a professional cornerstone, but in my mind, it's essential to be able to practice at your top of your license, not only the delivery of scientific and clinical care, but understand how to operationalize it. And I hope this tool allows you to do that.
It's so exceptional for me to see ASCO have their commitment to help us from this side too. It's really exceptional. Dr. Sun, I want to thank you for your service to the cancer care community, for your service at ASCO, but also for making time for the state societies. You shared with me earlier a sentiment that I also share, and when it comes to policy, state societies do so much. And even during your presidency here, you made the time for us and for others. And I can not only imagine how busy you were. So we really appreciate it every time you join us at ASCO. You're leaving us with your wisdom, but also with the inspiration that you leave behind with every trip. And on behalf of all of our FLASCO members, I want to say thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And I do want to end by saying thank you to Flasco. You're an incredible state affiliate society. We are so glad you are ASCO members. And together we can conquer cancer. So thank you so much for all you do.
Well, there you have it. This is a perfect time to go to ASCO.org and launch the first session of your ASCO Edge. You would have Dr. Sun there on a video waiting for you to welcome you and orient you to the site. Have a lot of fun learning and let us know what you thought about the modules. As Dr. Sun mentioned, we want to know how to continue to take ASCO Edge to the next level. Thank you so much for listening.